their gaze goes back to you. Or the king's gaze goes back to you. The queen's begins flicking across the rest of you. Almost inviting you, dare I say, to join in on the dialogue. I say dialogue. I guess it is.
If no one does, he'll continue.
Does anyone?
No, I'm waiting a bit. I'm waiting for a good in. If
the
Racy here
nuances
continues speaking.
of courtly dialogue.
No, it's mostly that Ruhan's talking about shit and nobody else knows anything about.
That, and I'm terrified I'm going to put my
You
mouth.
can interject, cut him off, offer alternate topic, such is the way of courtly intrigue. But if no one else does,
I'm mostly scared I'm going to accidentally do another innuendo, so I will stay quiet.
Continue, Ruhan. Continue.
He looks around and says,
There's no. By the way, there's no guards in this room. There's only guards on the doors. Nowhere else. Not that you can see, at least.
noted.
When we first met your daughter, as I am sure you have heard, there was quite a incident. One that we were more than willing to help. But more so your daughter told us to
tilts his
be
head at that.
ourselves.
Lorelai steps in. We can get to that in a moment.
Most importantly, your daughter gave us advice, and that was to be ourselves. To which I say, we're happy to offer our services.
At hearing she told us to be ourselves, that mask the king has of this utter apathy, neutrality, just breaks, and he gets a wide smile on his face. Did she? Oh, thank goodness. He stands up off his throne and begins walking down towards you guys. There is like a bit of like a walking path that leads across the moat from the dais to the actual rest of your guys' half of the throne room. Well, your guys' half, it's a shared half, but to your guys' spot. And you can see that at him breaking his act, Queen Lithian also like breaks hers, and she still is very noble looking, very serene, but now it's not more like a lovely lady at a gala. Now it's more of like a warm, fond familiarity, maternal, so very maternal, like a proud mother. But King Theodos, too much caffeine. King Theodos walks down and crosses the water, and you can see that the creatures that inhabit the moat just sort of like simmer down, quite literally. Well, I must admit, you all are not what I was expecting. I was expecting
Diplomats,
father.
Yeah.
Yes, and yes. Diplomats,
Yes.
scholars. He begins like walking across you all in a very. He's like a favorite uncle now. Like it's utterly different than what he was like before. Certainly not one so well armed. He like looks at the crossbow, the weapon, the axes, the fucking swords and stuff like that. The gun.
Gun. Yeah,
Well,
diplomats
yes.
aren't in high supply.
I suppose so.
It appears our superiors had done their research and knew who to send.
You guys are like inwardly like, thank you, Jesse, thank you, Lynn.
Mhm.
I suppose so. Although it's impressive that they knew what to research, and we didn't really send many diplomats our own. But welcome, he holds like wide arms, to Apple Torrens. Korik, you are weird. You feel like this weird, not familiarity with him as a king, as a person.
Mhm.
You get a familiarity that is reminiscent of your company or people of your occupation.
Hmm.
He's a well-traveled man, and there's a bit of jaunt in his step. Not in the sense of happiness, but in the sense of someone that's been aboard ships has to counteract the ship's sway.
Gotcha. So seeing that, Korik will sort of like attention will sort of immediately just release, and he will adopt a much more relaxed, natural stance,
There you are. There you are. No fear here. If my daughter has seen fit to give you any form of advice, that means you must be in her good graces. So, welcome. Please, do away with royal protocol. Something tells me you all aren't 100% versed in it anyways.
Oh, it's good to know we're that obvious.
Quite so, but don't worry. I've spent a lot of time on the surface. I know the ways of people, and, well, he shrugs. There's no point in dealing with such, especially since you guys aren't diplomatic sorts anyways.
Eh.
Yeah, well.
He, looks over to his wife, who stands up herself and begins treading down. Her eyes get a mystical, glaze to them. Fia, you have seen similar things before. She's checking you guys out, not in any sexual sense, but more in the sense of, do you guys have any, I don't know, hidden enchantments or tricks up your sleeve?
For adventures, of course we do.
Oh,
Yeah, but
Cork
any
would
one of
be-
them that they wouldn't be allowed to know.
Cork would probably be glowing because he's been.
Yes.
His entire fucking body.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. If I might be honest, and he, Kintheodis, goes over to his wife and just sort of hooks an arm around her. Again, looking arms stick together. A royal couple. You all seem charmingly rustic in a peculiar way. No one make a rust joke, I swear to fucking God, I'll smite the shit out of you. I just thought of it right now, no one make it.
Literally half a second away from making a rust joke. God damn it.
I never gave his thing. Oh, we'll get to that later. But I find you all charmingly rustic.
You could say that. Spent most of my time on the road.
Yeah, I guess.
Refreshing change.
That's
of
good.
pace
Some
from-
time out in the world is good for one's soul and knowledge. You're closest left, Fia, and you hear Lorelei mutter something to herself in Elvish.
Can I hear what it is?
Roll perception.
Yeah,
As
dang it.
I roll stealth for Lorelei. She casts Pass That. Ooh,
Jeez.
that's a really good perception.
Ho,
Okay.
ho.
Against
Yeah, no.
jacking and shit.
You hear Lorelei mutter to herself. Ironic. Under her breath. It doesn't seem like the king and queen hear this, or if they did hear this, they're courteous enough not to comment. So tell me, incident happened on the way in? What, did you guys run into a shark or something? Surely,
That'd be
Lorelei, you know to how to dissuade them.
I mean, no, just hypnotize people.
Oh,
Lorelei is actually stepping forward now, so she's basically in your guys' line. You're
Peripheral vision.
Yeah, you're guys in quarter circle sort of deal. So she's in visible view now. She looks at you guys. It's up to you guys out of game. You guys can tell the king and queen, or she can tell the king and queen. I notice I give these as two distinct options. Yes, the information is getting delivered. How they react is different. There's no better option here.
So Cork is just gonna, because he sees that familiar jaunt, he feels much more at ease. So he's gonna say, "Yes, the princess has proven herself to be not only a gracious host, but a formidable combatant. Unfortunately, on our way here,
She can thank me for that." He says, chuckling to his wife. What is it? No, don't tell me. Let me guess. Not sharks. Giant octopus. No?
Further.
something a bit closer to home, I'm afraid."
His smile dimmed to that. Closer to home. What do you mean?
Ruhan, sorry, Reitzi, I don't know yet. Reitzi, perhaps, perhaps
Oh.
you might explain that better than I am able to.
Yes. We, while traveling here, noticed a peculiarity amongst your guards, as
Lorelei
They-
bites her lip nervously.
tried to assassinate your daughter.
Duh.
While fighting them, we realized that the elite guard were under some sort of enchantment, and the others seem to be aware of it.
Keep going. I'll describe things as... Well, here, actually, no, give me a moment. The water that flows into the room, those two spouts that decanted into the pools, trickle and stop immediately. The water sentinels behind the king and queen begin to boil violently. The warm smile that Theodos immediately, quickly put upon his face, his true self, is washed away. To quote, a wise man's fear, quite literally, what are the three things to fear? A sea in storm, a night with no moon, and the anger of a gentleman. I don't know about a night with no moon. It's the middle of the day right now, but you can at least get glimpses at the other two on King Theodos' face. And as for his lovely wife, the Queen Lithian, there's another quote I'd like to, bring into question. Hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. If I were to equivalent them to natural phenomena, King Theodos is a sea in storm. Queen Lithian would be the lightning that strikes during that storm, to anyone foolish enough to tempt it. You guys can hear behind you as Ruhan rates it right now, continues telling this information. Those pools of water behind you also begin boiling. And then you guys hear water resume, except it's going, if you guys look behind you, instead of down, it begins geysering up. But go on.
Following the princess's lead, we chose to dispatch all four of them with non-lethal force. It seemed the astute thing to do at the time. Perhaps answers might be found there.
Queen Lithian unhooks herself from her husband's arm and immediately goes over to Lorelei. Maternal protection reigning above all right now. She doesn't have the rage of King Theodos upon her face, but make no mistake, to cross her now would certainly be a death sentence.
I kept an eye on everybody I saw on my way in. I don't know if my words mean much in this regard, but I could see no sign of aggression, no sign of malice in the postures, the body language, the movements of the people that we've come across so far.
It looks as if King Theodos is about to shout something, likely to the guards outside the door, but Queen Lithian just simply says, "Theodos." And he stops and looks at her. It seems a conversation is had by the gestures of head movement. Telepathic. He calms himself. The water sentinels behind him simmer down once more. The water, once again, trickles to a stop instead of going in the opposite direction. The water pools that they emerge from, not boiling over, but slow simmering. It seems that much needs to be done. Tell me, Landstriders, what is the punishment for traitors in your lands? If you guys have to ask as players, you haven't been paying attention.
Execution.
Death.
Bingo. Then our laws are in accordance.
Your Majesty, if I may.
He looks at you.
We were the ones who saved your daughter from this ordeal. As such, she acknowledged that she is in our debt. May I call in that favor now?
The water's behind you, like in rhythm with his chuckles. You are certainly quick to business. Ask this favor. We'll
Cork
get into
eyes.
details soon
stands.
enough, but let me know it now.
These men were under compulsion, and as such did not act of their own volition. Some of them did, but some of them did not. Let us get to the bottom of this before administering your judgment.
His bright eyes from before are now as cloudy as a dark, stormy night on the sea. Very well. I will. He looks at his wife, his queen. She nods at him. I will wait. I will let my head cool down before administering justice. He puts his hand on his blade. But Queen Lithian brings over Lorelei, so this family, the royal family is occupying the center here. We are deeply in your debt as well. Thank you for saving Lorelei. There's a bit of tremble to her voice. You guys aren't parents yourselves. I'm told, at least. But you guys probably have heard this timbre somewhere, either from the Nevros tribes you surrounded, the Slayer friends whose relatives you had to inform death of service for, protection detail that could only go so far, Githalthalor's numerous tragedies. You've heard this tremble before. It's a tremble of a parent losing their child, and you can tell Queen Lithian has pondered the thought in this short time and is utterly grateful that it is not reality. Theodos, hearing Lithian holding closely Lorelei, goes over and embraces them as well. In other noble circumstances, this is a lot of emotional display. Too much so, but you get the feeling that these royals are just a bit different, right?
We will protect them again in a heartbeat. Kind of like looks up the cork for that.
Thank you. Lithian speaks vocally, but then you can tell the conversation begins again telepathically. Sort of like a person speaking two languages. And you just sort of switch between. Yes. Lorelei, child. I'm fine. They made sure of that. I was only hit once, and I was immediately healed. Yes, that's very good to hear.
Nor was she lacking in valor.
Of course she wouldn't. She Lithian hugs Lorelei, presses her head against her shoulder. She's our daughter.
Forgive me if I'm being presumptuous, but for as long as I'm here, for as long as my assignment binds me to this mission, my shield will be hers. I will bleed before she does.
Theodos wipes his eye, does the pinch motion for pinching your nose, except he does it to wipe his eyes. Lorelei. Yes, father. Can you see them to their quarters? I'm sure you're safe with them. Remain so with them for the time being. Your mother and I have house to clean. Yes. Yes, we do. Of course. Thank you, child. And he holds her close, like tucking her, like the top of her head underneath his chin, kisses her forehead. Now go. Be safe. She nods. She tentatively leaves her parents' embrace and goes to all of you. Well, let us go.
Nod at that.
I
You guys begin
hope you
departing.
didn't speak out of turn.
No, it's quite all right. He like rubs his like right eye, like flicks away a tear. Things are very unusual circumstances. It is fine. And your rustic charm is certainly... I'm more grateful for it now. The king and queen, as you guys are walking out, they are following right behind you. Not right behind you, but like a little bit of ways. But they are following you out. You guys open the doors yourselves, and then the 4 guards, 2 on each side, are there. And you guys begin... Like, Lorelei just walks right past him, and then it's like the guards move to close the door again, but then they see the king and queen. And they're like, oh. And then they see into the room, and... Oh.
Like, they've only seen that.
It's a mix of concern and fear. You guys are, like, presented on the opposite side of the hallway. You see the king and queen give you, like, a nod once more, and then Lorelei nod back at them, and... You guys are turned around the corner, luckily, before you hear the king shout. With a voice like thunder that echoes across the halls, no doubt the entire castle will hear it from the way it echoes. He shouts quite simply to bring him his head of guard. Now.
Oh.
All of China knows that man's here now.
All of China knows you're here now.
I think most of Europe knows that he's there.
Good.
Oh.
So yeah,
Do
as
not
soon as
want to be that
as soon as
guy.
we leave the throne room, Korik will start moving around the princess as if he's on protective detail, the way he's always done. And he will keep an eye out for any potential threats.
Lorelei moves to say something, but then she just stops herself and just let it happen. Lets it happen.
Wow.
You guys are led a ways away into basically another tower entirely. Well, here, let me change the music to not have that, not have Zuko and Azula have the last Agni Kai. Although this song is great. This tower that you guys are entered into it's not like a tower that has like a bottom. It's more like a lean out tower. So I'll draw it here roughly, and whenever you get here you can see how it is. So if we imagine like the palace is, I gotta change the color for this. We use yellow. If we imagine that the main palace is its own structure, that is not what it looks like, by the way, don't quote me on it. Then this tower isn't like, it's not like this, or whatever. No, it's not that. It's more, it literally leans out from it. That sort of deal. It's an extension tower as opposed to its individual watchtower. It's all shell, always has been.
I would feel very unsafe there, except for the fact that it's underwater, so physics are a little different. Just
the quarters that you guys are given has 3 tiers to it.
Mm-hmm.
3 like sort of like rice field-esque tiers to it, so it's like they're like all jut out from one another. The bottom tier is like this dining area of a D, and then from there it goes up and out to like a sort of lounging area, low, and then from there it has like this sort of half circle-esque rooms. So you're basically descending down tiers and tiers to do stuff. So living room, lounge area in the middle, dining space at the bottom. As Lorelei opens up, you guys note that there's no guards here. You think that the tower might have put things into a bit, or the booming voice might have put things into a bit of a frantic panic for over here at this tower. Lorelei leads you guys in and closes the door behind you guys. Well, that could have gone worse. Better, but worse as well. Far worse. And she
Yeah.
turns to look at all of you.
I mean, it certainly went differently from what I was expecting.
He doesn't typically get that mad, does he?
Why?
I've
Why do you
never
think-
seen him so mad.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a very understanding father whenever I acted up, but to see this is startling.
It is a testament to his love for you.
Mm.
She smiles at that. My own father's the same. Abigail's like saying, she's like walking around the room, just sort of invested, like looking into like the suite, so to speak. It's ritzy in here, like ritzier than any of you have ever been in. But it's not like overly so. Like that's not like there's a bunch of rugs that obstruct movement and stuff like that. No, it's not Spartan, but it's not like over clustered furnishings, furniture.
Fucking chairs.
I imagine my parents will be here shortly after they get things rolling.
Hmm.
Is it the same for your people that, levity can be achieved over dinner?
She smiles at that. I'm not, well, for my people to a degree, but for my mother and father, most certainly. My
We're going to
father was
invite-
he strode upon the land when he was younger. A mercenary?
Oh, so did I.
Oh.
I honestly don't know. That I get different impressions depending on the story he tells.
They run away from home to join the pirates.
She like looks away at when you say that, just like. Anyways, they'll be here shortly, and we initially were gonna have a feast for the diplomats, but I'm not sure what's going to happen now. Perhaps still.
Well. I guess we'll find out then.
Yes.
Ooh. That's good.
In the meantime, he sort of like gets really bashful as he says it, and like,
Oh yeah, there's a fireplace here, by the way.
Think
just
it might be like still possible.
like he like touches his index fingers together.
Like a nervous
Yes.
thing.
Can I go see the cool
I'm
rock?
100% certain he'll tell you not only the tall tale. Well, I suppose they're not so tall tales. The stories he's told me, but likely the truth behind them.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Good to know.
Don't worry, big
I
guy.
mean,
You're gonna hear plenty about
quite,
the
yeah.
rods.
Lorelai
quite
goes over to the fireplace and lights it. It's not actually fire. It's more of like these big like
just
stones,
shells?
like crystals, like gems, which are like this bright orange color. And she just sort of flares magic into it, and then just begin almost like a bonfire, except without the actual fire. But you guys could definitely, like, if you're near it, feel the warmth and stuff like that.
That's weird. Convenient
I
though.
was wondering what you're going to do about the smoke, but this kind of answers my question.
Yeah, there's no chimney for this. It's just the fireplaces. It's just a hearth.
Honestly, I was thinking there was just gonna be like a small volcano, which would have been
No,
equally as
well,
Oh, like
such-
the underwater ones.
Lava vents and steam vents, stuff like that, are out in the terrain, but we don't keep them in here. But she gestures to like this, like the third floor. The quarters are your guys to distribute and see fit. They have furnishings and such in them, restrooms, things of that nature. If you need anything, just let me know.
I turn to the others. You
There's a-
feel free to pick whichever one you like. I'll take the one that's left over.
Ditto.
Okay.
Stop
Well, in
being
that
polite. Just
case-
pick.
I'm going to go have first pick then.
We might have a spare room. Just saying. You guys see 6 doors. And you're just like, what does that mean?
No, there's no question there.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
question.
that's
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
It's like, oh, aren't you cute?
Varric just sort of like chose that at the dining table. This long. It's like an epoxied like coral, if that makes sense. Like this sort of like
Yeah.
coral infused with glass tabletop. And the coral inside is not like random coral. It actually has been carved and patterned into this sort of ovaline shape into it. And it's just like a braid of different types of coral. It's really peculiar, but entrancing in its own way. Yeah, Varric just like sits down and begins like opening up the gun, just making like 2 minions on it. He's like,
Kind of like that.
Ooh.
There are more like corally bits in it.
just like checking it.
Making sure all his shit is not completely soaked through.
Yeah, he's
I-
basically making sure it's not waterlogged.
I do have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
We are